Hey, here we go, back at it again. Horse race bets getting you going here for another week, leading up to another outstanding weekend of action. And a whole lot of stuff happened this past weekend up until yesterday. So we want to share that with you. There's a lot that is going on, and I have a very specific kind of approach or strategy that I want to share with you on how we can make this money and how we can take advantage of certain situations. All right. So first thing we're going to do is get into something that we should probably do more often, right? Talk about a little recap of everything that we gave out last week and then see how that worked out. So everything that we gave out last week looked like this. The week of July 29th through the August the 3rd, that's yesterday, we gave out 13 plays. We had 5 late scratches. We were so frustrated. So that left us with those 8 runners here. So then we look at how they performed. Remember, Kathy's Boy was at Louisiana Downs, closing third. Spirit of St. Louis in one of the stakes at Saratoga did not run well at all. Anon, with our man Giovanni Franco in the California Dream, and I do believe it was, ran a great race, ended up third at a big price. I just love the way that guy rides. Checks on the Way was a very disappointing 5th in that sprint race, just not good. Not good at all. Win with Faith, we thought was really going to be able to make some things happen in the Bears' Den. Also another horse that just ran horribly. And that's just one of those things that happens. And then Drop the Hammer in the Pucker Up. What a great ride. I was so happy. It just didn't work out. Turned for home. Did exactly what we thought as handicappers. Had the lead. And then just couldn't hold off the closers. And so you don't really worry about stuff like that, right? You pick and then whatever happens, happens. So the thing about that is how I guess our losing runs played out, right? So you see, we kind of do it by $20 win wagers. So you can see 6 $20 win wagers there, right? So we lose $120. But we had 2 winners and made $175. If I'm not mistaken, that's pretty good math. That's a $55 profit just on the picks that we sent out. But there's also something else that I need to share with you here. And it has to do with our approach. As a couple of our viewers asked me about pick fives, asked if I play pick fives. I'm like, yeah, on the weekends I do play pick fives, but I don't like to give them out. I've given out maybe a couple. They didn't work, and they're not all going to work. But my point is that I have a specific approach in the way I play it, and I don't necessarily give it out to you because I don't know if many of you understand what I'm trying to do. You will never see me put out a $70 ticket, $80, $90, $100, $180. I will never do that because that's not encouraging you to play. That's just encouraging you to root for me because, hey, look at how much money I spent and how much I made. That's not how this works. The point is to spend little, make a lot. And this is how you do that. Take a look at what we did. So, okay, we look at our 2 winners. Sierra Leone pays $5.90, was not the favorite, so that was a gift. We had another viewer that talked about using the exacta 5-3 with Highland Falls. I hope they hammered that because that was a really good idea. And then we really liked what Tomasello did. That's our buddy. Fernando de la Cruz did exactly what we thought. He sat off the pace of Yinzer, turned for home, got the jump on the closers, $11.56 coming back. Those are $20 win wagers, right? That's where we get the $175. But what I really want you to look at is what I was able to do and what I do pretty much every weekend. So you see we played ourselves a pick 5 at Ellis Park, right? We play it for $2, not 50 cents, $2. And then what do? I force myself to single. Not force, but I try hard to find the single. And you can see we go deep in the first leg because that first leg at Ellis, there was maidens and we didn't know what to do. So we ended up getting the maiden number 6. And then we go from there. We thought it was all about 4 and the 8, and the 4 is able to carry it around. Then after that point, we really thought there was no way around the 4, the 3, and the 8, so we single. Now, when you're in that spot, you have 2 choices. You can go back and say, well, I'm afraid of this horse, I'm afraid of that horse, so I'll add them. Now you're just adding horses because you're afraid. Or you say, I'm not afraid of anybody else, so how do I maximize my play? That's why we end up playing it for $2. So then that's why something that pays $100 and whatever dollars, we times 4, we get back $692 on a $20 investment. And then look at how we play at Louisiana Downs. Same thing. We saw the pick 5. It took us not long at all to handicap. Listen, handicapping is easy. The choices that we make is the hard part. Handicapping a race is easy. The decisions, the choices, and then living with those choices because you have no control, right? The trainer may not have had the horse cranked up. The rider may have made a bad decision. The other riders on the other horses changed their tactic. You have zero control over that. But you do have control over your decisions. So I made a decision. I'm like, well, I like the pick five sequence because they've got turf racing in it. And I handicapped. It took me 20 minutes, looked at it and said, okay, this makes sense. Let's maximize. So instead we play the pick five for $5. So something that ends up paying $600 on the 50 cent, we get that times 10. That's where you see the $6,427 return. I've done this numerous occasions where I've taken something small and made it bigger, and then taken something that was nice and made it a difference maker. That's the approach. And it's this kind of content that I'm thinking about sharing with you in a very exclusive way so that only the people who understand this can take advantage of it. I'll make that decision coming up soon. But that's how I play on the weekends, and I want you to understand what I'm trying to do. Spend a little, make a lot. Quit trying to play with these $180 and $200 tickets. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard of. Anyway, I'm off my soapbox. Let's get back into the action this week. This week we got great running from Saratoga and from Colonial Downs and from Ellis and from Del Mar. Let's go to the Grade 1 Sword Dancer. Saturday at Saratoga, 1.5 miles on the turf, 9 runners here. So many really talented runners. The runner to the inside, El Cordobes, that horse is going to be tough, and I'm afraid of that horse. Rebel Red, deep closer, I'm afraid of that horse. Nation's Pride, very, very talented international runner. Utah Beach, crazy, crazy closer. But what I'm going to do in here is I've decided that I felt like there's a horse in great form and has something that others don't have. There's no pace in the race whatsoever, and it's 1.5 miles, and that's when things get dangerous. So I'm going to go with Far Bridge. Joel Rosario does a great job. This horse can control or sit just off anyone who wants to try and control and then get the money. And I think the presence of the other runners mean that we'll get decent value on Far Bridge. We go with Far Bridge, the number 6 in the Sword Dancer, coming up Saturday from Saratoga. Stay there at Saratoga because we get a chance to see some 3-year-old fillies trying to improve. It's the Saratoga Oaks. It's a Grade 2 event, 1 1/16 on the turf. I don't know why I wrote dirt there on the screen. I'll check with my assistant on that. But it's on the turf. Anyway, what we want to do is focus in on runners that can make a difference. So we've got the 6 to the outside, super impressive filly, right? But once again, there's no pace. So how about we go with this one? We're going to go with Opulent Restraint. Has the speed, second off the layoff, Chad Brown, Flavion Pratt, and I don't think there's anyone out there that's going to challenge on the front end. So we're going to go with that runner and see if we can get our value and get our trip. That's what's coming up this weekend. Let's get down to business and see what's coming up here this week. So what we're going to do is play our play of the day, and that's going to come to us from Saratoga on Wednesday. Take a look. Race number 8, going to be on the turf, and we're going to go with, it's going to be 1 mile on the turf, by the way. They got usually 12 runners going to be in there. So there's a rider that I've been avoiding using, and he's got me a couple of times because for some strange reason I didn't associate this rider and the trainer he usually rides for with turf. And that's Ricardo Santana. And usually he rides for Steve Asmussen. And I could probably count on one hand how many times I've seen a Steve Asmussen horse win on the turf. So I just kind of discounted him. But Ricardo does a really good job. And he's dangerous. And Notable Exchange, I think, is a great closer that's worth taking a chance on. How about that? He's going to get some pace to run at. They're going to go 1 mile. He loves to close. He closes like a freight train. So we're going to go with him, get a nice little setup on Wednesday, and get things going in the right direction. That's our play of the day, Wednesday at Saratoga. The other selections there will be coming up from Saratoga this weekend. And then we'll talk about setting up a way for you to be a part of these pick fives that I play every single weekend. I didn't say that I hit every weekend. I do pretty good though. And when we do hit, we maximize. You will never see me on social media putting out a $180 or $100. Like, why would I? That doesn't make any sense. The number one point of media, in my opinion, is to do one of two things. Okay? If you are media, then you are serving the public in terms of giving them information or insight that they could not access otherwise. Or you are in support mode if you're media. Support meaning, so if you work in horse racing media, all you have to do, you have to support the tracks. You have to support jockeys. You have to support trainers and horses. That's your job. You have to support, market, promote. Or give me some information that I don't have access to. That's what I'm doing. It's a service that I provide to give you information that you don't have access to, that I believe that I do. With 30 years of experience, I know how this stuff works. Once again, handicapping's easy. The choices that we make and living with those choices, that's the hard part. All right, that's going to do it for us here on Horse Race Bets. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Let's continue making this money together. In the meantime, between time, until next time, we'll see you here. Good luck and enjoy whatever you're into.